I didn't need glasses until I was in my 40s, and then only for reading. My eyes have changed now in my 50s, and I need glasses for almost all occasions. What I don't like about glasses are the smudges. Smudges impair my view and sometimes distort it. At times I've thought that the smudges were a part of the scenery instead of on my lenses. But when I cleaned my glasses, it was obviously a smudge. I've learned to clean my glasses frequently, to clear away the smudges so I can see clearly and not get distracted by the smudges. But when I forget to clean my glasses, or they get smudged when I don't have time to clean them, I've learned to ignore the smudges as simply a part of the glasses experience, and to focus on the scenery beyond the dirty lenses. Tempted as I am, I wouldn't throw away my glasses just because they have smudges on them. Now let's look at our humanity, like I've described glasses above. The smudges on the glasses will represent our human responses in our own behaviors and words, as well as the behaviors and words of others. So our humanity is full of smudges, obstructions to a truthful view of ours and others' hearts. Sometimes we think our behavior is us, like believing a smudge is part of the scenery, the basic shame belief. And honestly, while it is tempting to withdraw from or throw away myself or others when human smudges hurt, I prefer to learn how to accept these smudges as a part of the human experience, check my lens for smudges, and focus beyond the smudges to the heart, including my own. And that's ultimately the goal of the 5 C's. So let's talk about the next C. The second C is compassion for your humanity, which ultimately leads to compassion for others' humanity. In the last blog on slime, I talked about how shame tends to become our identity, and in that role often blinds us to our hearts. So in order to not let shame blind us, it will be healing to catch when we shame ourselves and resist the automatic of stuffing it, so that we can see our humanity for what it is, smudged and imperfect, because we live on planet Earth. Again, once we can have compassion for our own humanity, we can begin to have compassion for others' humanity. Through the course of my practice, I've discovered a common denominator for what seems to hinder compassion for our humanity the most, and it is the foundational belief that God is displeased with our smudges. In a lot of religious teaching, we are led to believe that our humanity angers God. When I encounter that belief, I invite my clients to challenge it with 3 questions about God to expose their somewhat dubious assumptions. Question 1, can you surprise God? Question 2, can you disappoint God? And question 3, does God have expectations? Can you surprise God? By the very definition of the name God, and that He is omniscient, there is absolutely no chance of surprising God. God knows all things. Can you disappoint God? A lot of folks answer yes to this one, though they may believe God can't be surprised. But think about it. If God can't be surprised, He can't be disappointed. Omniscience means God already knows we're not going to measure up. Disappointment implies dashed hopes. But God does not hope. He knows. And if He knows, He can't be disappointed. Does God have expectations? Expectation is future-oriented. But again, omniscience, by its nature, is not time-limited. So how can God, who is outside of time, have expectations? Especially if God is not surprised that we're going to mess up, and even created us to be flawed. These questions are important because they'll give you clues to your foundational beliefs and assumptions about God. Foundational beliefs drive our behaviors and thoughts more than we know. When we assign our humanity smudges to the God scenery, we are using the defense mechanism called transference. Most of us were raised in an environment of shame as a motivator. So as very young humans, we began to believe God was just like our parents. In fact, our parents were basically our first gods in our childish mind. After all, they were our source of life. So being surprised, disappointed, and having expectations are all human characteristics that we transferred from our parents' character to God's character. But once we let God, as the omniscient God, love us unconditionally, smudges and all, we can learn to love us unconditionally, too. We're human, and it's okay. The next C that rises in this healing process is curiosity. Stay tuned.